Hello, everyone. Bet you weren't expecting something like this, did ya? Well, I just wanted to make this video for the fun of it. Also, to practice scripting a little bit. So, I decided to make a quick little video about not only my favorite Mori character of all time, but probably my favorite character in general, Aubrey. So first, I should probably put a huge spoiler warning for Omori, as Omori is a game I'd heavily prefer to experience the game blind. Second of all, I should probably say who Aubrey is. Aubrey is one of the four main characters in Omori, being one of the party members you fight with in the Headspace segments. In the real life segments, the one I'll be talking the most about as there is way more to talk about than her Headspace counterpart, she's an antagonist that eventually goes back to the good side. I'll keep the Headspace section brief, as she, along with everyone else in Headspace, isn't really the most interesting besides maybe Marie. In Headspace, Aubrey is seen as a very tearful person who, let's be honest, probably has something wrong with the Mori, but I'm not going to get into that part of her character. She kind of regularly has fights with Kel, which is something about Headspace I like a lot. Adds a little bit more character to those two and gives me a reason to also like Kel as a character. She also seems to be worried the most about Basil's disappearance from Headspace, and that's about all there is to say about Headspace Aubrey. Now, on to the good part. Aubrey in the faraway segments of this game is just amazing, really. First, the reveal of Aubrey's design and new personality in Faraway kind of shocked me. We had spent 2 Headspace segments with this nice, cheerful individual who was always there for her friends, especially Omori. But here, it's not that. Aubrey in Faraway is essentially the polar opposite. When we first see her, she immediately starts a fight with Sunny and Kel, which is stopped immediately by Sunny stabbing her with a knife. At least in my first 2 playthroughs of the game, apparently you can just win with Kel. We then spend a good chunk of the segment looking for her as she stole Basil's photo album and we wanted to take it back. This eventually leads to the church, where in my opinion, is one of the best moments with Aubrey you get in this game. The church fight is probably one of my favorite fights in the entire game. Only really getting beaten by the Omori fight at the ending of the game, and probably like one other one? I don't really know. Still really good. But before I get into the fight, I want to talk about the moment right before the fight for just a moment. This is the moment where I personally found out that Marie had died before the events of Omori, which Aubrey hadn't been taking well, as she had a really close connection with her. So she went to church to maybe, just maybe, find some peace. Then we entered the church and confronted her about the stolen album. In doing this, we kind of just caused a fight in the church. This single fight. Oh man, this fight. Where do I even begin? I guess we can start with the music of it. It means everything goes hard when you aren't fighting Aubrey. It gets even better when you are fighting her. This church was basically all she really had left to find peace after Marie had died. And we can probably assume that after this fight happens, she would never be able to go back into church again. So the name is symbolic. That's cool. Anything else? No, not really. I personally just think that it means everything really fits well with this fight. I should probably talk about the actual fight now. I think this was the first fight where I outright wanted to lose, as we ended up disturbing Aubrey trying to find peace after Marie died and everyone in the friend group kind of just grew distant, coping with the death in different ways, which Aubrey took the wrong way. During the fight, several churchgoers gossip about her appearance and the fact that she brought a weapon with her, while also calling her things like uncivilized and a sinner. Something minor I like is that she usually will target Kel and not Sunny. It kinda just fits the fact that they aren't on the best terms at this moment, and Aubrey doesn't really have a good enough incentive to want to attack Sunny other than the fact that he stabbed her, which could probably be a reason as to why she targets Kel. I don't really know for sure. After this fight, she throws Basil's photo album away, while also keeping all the photos that had Marie in them. Things quickly escalate in 2 days left, where she just straight up pushes Basil into the pond out of frustration. This one act that she performs is probably her worst act in the game. But it wasn't really intentional. It was basically just an accident since she wasn't thinking straight. So I didn't stay mad at her. This will probably be the shortest section of the video since there wasn't a lot to talk about here. Though it is also hinted towards that she still cares for her old friends, even if she doesn't show it. The one day left section of the game really cemented her as my favorite character in this game, as she basically gets turned into an antagonist you could sympathize with. The section starts with her best friend, Kim, saying that she hadn't left her house, so they were all worried about her. Despite Cal not really wanting to, who since she literally almost killed Basil the day prior, Hiro convinces him and Sunny go check up on her. My heart was racing here, as we don't really know what happened ourselves. I was paranoid that she died herself or something due to everything that happened the previous 2 days. But to my relief, she probably was just looking at the photos of Marie she took from the album. After putting the photos back into the album, she apologizes to us for her behaviors, which is accepted and now everyone's friends again. She decides to apologize to Basil as well, who isn't home at the moment, visiting his grandmother in the hospital. Also, something I like about One Day Left is that if you go to the vending machines at the park, there will be a little interaction with her and Kel, or I kid you not, Kel drinks a 5-year-old Orange Joe. Aubrey finds this disgusting, and so did I. Anyways, back to more important stuff. A little bit after we exit the treehouse, we see Aubrey put a pinwheel on the tree stump where they had found Marie's body. She gives a little speech, and then one of the best images in the game, even shown to us. The last bit of One Day Left spent in Basil's house, as Basil locked himself in his room and won't come out. So he spent a night there. I am not going to go over the neutral ending, mostly because I'm going for that right now as we speak. So I'll move on to the good ending. Despite Aubrey technically appearing before the OMORI boss fight, that's more of a dream variant, so I won't count that. But the last bit we get of Aubrey is her looking at Sunny when he is about to say the truth behind Marie's death, which leaves us to our imagination for her reaction as the game cuts to the credits right before Sunny confesses. So that's basically all of what happens with Aubrey in the game. Now, why did she work so well for me? Well, I think it's a few things. For one, you can really sympathize with her despite her actions seemingly being unjustifiable. Second is that I can kind of relate to her sometimes. Losing someone you admire as a person is something that isn't easy to get over. Another thing was just how shocking it was to see her go from this kind and caring person to a jerk who bullied others as a coping mechanism. And then after a while, she eventually realizes her errors and decides to make things right. So yeah, that's basically all. I have to say, please know that I am really not someone who observes things while playing games. I just play games for the fun of it all. I might make another one of these, maybe one of Basil or Eraser, as there is probably something I can talk about with those two, unlike characters like Sylveon, who I just really liked of its design. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next video. See you guys later.